Hey, everybody. It is finally coming down, and it is the end of week 3. Guys, it is August 31st, and we have now completed 3 weeks of high school football. I am Trevor Horn. This is the BVarsity Game Night, brought to you by Motor City, GMC, Buick, and Grapevine MSP. I am always joined with Josh Bennett, Jon Mettus, Teddy Feinberg. Tonight was a very unique night for us. Just kind of, put it out there. Usually we're all out in the field doing gamers coming back, but because we had, if you read the story that I wrote today, we had so many prominent teams here in Bakersfield, out on the road, in Southern California, on the Central Coast, and even in Las Vegas. Teddy, you chose to stay home tonight.
In the office.
Yeah.
Stayed in the office. At home in my office. I was like at home, like in my pajamas.
But really, so here's the front page of sports. Shafter wins big. Liberty blows out Clovis West. John, you've got a BC preview, which the Renegades open up tomorrow at Mountain Sac at 6 p.m.
Yep.
And then our BVarsity page. A lot of this has to do because Teddy was in here with Josh and Ron Stapp and Pete Menta and Christine Peterson. While Diana was out shooting video as well. Teddy, before we get into everything, just how much different was that for you, being in here rather than out?
Definitely for this season, just I covered the first 2 games, for the first 2 weeks I was out and about. It was different from that respect, Trevor, but like you said, there were a lot of big games, and it was fun because I felt like we also needed a website presence during the night, and it was cool. We had a live blog online. I thought that was neat. And, there were some crazy games out of town, too, headlined by Garces 31.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a second.
So, there was some craziness,
Why don't we start off first with one of the games that was out of town is Bakersfield going down to, not South Central L.A., I apologize, Paramount, which is tucked in between Compton.
Why did you apologize like that?
I got a phone call about it today, and they're like, that's not in South Central. And it's like South Central adjacent, so I'm sorry.
Well, the way you said I apologize.
It's between Compton and Long Beach, so it's right there. And the Drillers went down and did exactly what we anticipated them to do. They beat Paramount 41-21. Teddy, you talked to head coach Paul Gola over the phone. Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, basically they were up, I want to say 21-7 at halftime. They took an early 28-7 lead going in, to start out the third quarter. Coach Gola said they committed some first half turnovers, but defensively they stepped up, forced some 3-and-outs from Paramount. So the defense kept them in the game. They got an early touchdown off a Paramount botch punt. I believe the snap went over the punter's head. We've all seen that in football. And Devontae Bell, the younger brother of Keontae, fell on it in the end zone.
Yeah, Devontae and Keontae.
Yeah, and then they got some big plays from Carl Jones. He scored. Paul Gola was. Yeah,
you got him for a 50-yard run and a 60-yard catch from Cameron Williams.
And then Cam hit him for 60. And then to start out the second half, the knockout blow, he had about a 60-yard touchdown reception too. So they rolled. They're 2-1. They got Ridgeview next week. Matchup of 2-1 teams in town should be fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Let's move on. So the Drillers advance and now 2-1. Another team that is now 2-1, and that's Liberty. John, you were out at this game. Diana, you want to just go ahead and 47-14 win for Clovis West.
No,
Liberty.
Let's
take a look at the videotape.
Boom, John.
Well,
John, these are your highlights.
Yeah, I was looking out here. Here's Sammy Stewart Jr. with his one and only touchdown of the game. Didn't get a ton of play in the second half. He only had 2 carries in the second half, but he had 169 yards in the first half. So, pretty good day for him, I'd say.
169 in the first half?
Yep.
Seemed like the quarterback played
Here's
well,
Anthony
John.
Villanueva. He gets the run this time, cuts it back. He's in the end zone.
And those are two-way guys, Sammy Stewart and Villanueva, which,
very good linebackers.
Yeah, very good linebackers, very good running backs.
Hector Gonzalez is up next.
He seemed like he played well.
Yeah, he did. Here he's going to scramble a little bit. Nobody's open. He's going to cut it back and wait for it. Ooh. There he goes. Gets into the end zone. So now we've got 3 different Liberty Patriots with touchdowns so far. This one to start out the second quarter. And Hector, this time, he's not going to run it. He's going to throw it. Finds his receiver, Winston Jaunty, 16-yard touchdown catch. And here comes Ramon Henderson for the first of his 3 touchdowns today.
Nice
Takes a little short pass. Yeah. And there he goes up the sideline. Gives Liberty a 33-0 lead in the second quarter. This one was
Which is incredible.
All Liberty.
You think about that first-team defense that gave up a bunch of points to the Michigan, which is a top 10 team in the state of California. And since then, the first-string defense for Liberty in, 8.5 quarters has not given up a touchdown between Ridgeview and Clovis West. So that's quite impressive. This is the first time you've seen Liberty this year. John, what was your takeaway of the Patriots?
I mean, Liberty gave up 74 first-half yards to Clovis West. The defense was obviously strong, stout. They faced another running quarterback and were able to, keep the spies on them, keep them contained. No big runs until the backups came in. The offense you saw, scoring with 5 different players to start out the game. They could do whatever they wanted to. Sammy Stewart, he had 18 carries, I believe, in the first half, and 3 of them went for fewer than 6 yards.
And the biggest thing moving forward, I think, for Liberty is getting a lot of those starters rest in the second half, because when you look at what's coming up next, they've got a home game against Buchanan, a team that we have ranked number 3. A lot of people have them ranked number 2 in the Central section, and Buchanan completely rolled Edison tonight. So that game next Friday night is a monster game. When you look at what Buchanan did to Liberty last year when Kendall Milton had 4 touchdowns, all over 50 yards. He is number 1 junior running back in the state of California, and that's going to be a huge test when you talk about Liberty's defense against the offense for Buchanan. That's going to be an exciting game next week.
John, what was your week 1 game?
What was my... Ridgeview Stockdale.
Yeah, we'll get you out to a close one of these weeks. Because I think you were at Bosco Garcia's week 2.
All right, moving forward, another game out of town. Independence went on the road, and they were tied 14-14 going into the fourth quarter at Arroyo Grande. And the Eagles went on a 14-0 run in the fourth quarter to pull away and beat the Falcons. First loss of the season for Independence. That's a big test for Independence, and they did not shy away from it. So despite this loss, that's a very good Arroyo Grande team. The only loss for them was last week against Helix out of the San Diego area, who was ranked to the top 20 in the state. So for them to go out on the road in Tyler Shellhobble's first season and play well and hold this one tight going in.
Yeah, they hung for 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, the SYL is wide open this year between Ridgeview and BCHS and Independence, and maybe even West at the top. We'll see how good the Vikings are as the season goes on. The SYL is going to be very interesting coming up. So there you have Independence falling to Arroyo Grande on the road. Here in town, it's the mentor and the mentee, or the mentor and the former assistant. And this time, Dennis Manley finally gets Chris Bandy after Frontier beat Ridgeview last year. Ridgeview comes back, 35-14 win, a big comeback for the Wolfpack after losing 38-0 last week against Independence. Let's go to the highlights of Diana shot tonight. So there's the the Titans at home tonight taking on the Wolfpack. And early on here is Justin Henzo, quarterback. Nice passer to Elijah Williams-Alexander to get the Wolfpack into the red zone early on. And they scored on a touchdown run by Alexander Williams. And then here's Henzo on the run. Nice diving catch there by Zion Hall. And so it's early 13-0 lead for the Wolfpack here. Ernest Jackson, 1-yard touchdown run for the Titans, makes it 13-7 in the second quarter. So the Titans trying to pull back in this one, and they start off here with an interception right at midfield. The Titans get the ball back, and they capitalize on the interception as Dustin Montino with a 10-yard touchdown pass to Colton Baker, and that makes it 14-13 after the extra point right there at the end of the first half. Frontier lead, and then Ridgeview just goes on a run here. 95-yard kickoff return to open up the third quarter by Chris Thompson. 94 yards to the house, and Ridgeview would score 3 unanswered touchdowns in the second half and beats Frontier 35-14. So that's a big comeback victory after a huge loss last week for the Wolfpack. So Ridgeview now 2-1 after blowing out Stockdale in week 1, getting blown out last week, and then coming out this week and Look at Anthony Ramirez, man. That guy's a heck of a football player.
We obviously don't have an answer to this question, but Taj didn't play quarterback tonight. I wonder if he played
Taj
well.
did throw the ball a bit. He was 2 of 5, 36 yards. Henzo was 11 of 16, 161 yards. Maybe it was just one of those games where they realized that they need to just put Taj in as many different spaces as possible.
Well, he was obviously hobbled last week.
He was hobbled. Alexander Williams had 18 carries for 92 yards for the Wolfpack, while Ernest Jackson only led Frontier with 29 carries on 29 yards on 9 carries. So Frontier kind of stymied in this one. So Ridgeview, what I look at is Liberty's a really good football team.
Yeah.
When you think about what Ridgeview has done in their 2 wins, and then what Ridgeview couldn't do against Liberty.
But Wright played, the whole game against Liberty, and he wasn't 100%, and I think that had something to do with it, too.
I think it did have something to do with it, but it still don't.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it had to do with 5 touchdown difference.
No, but if
enough,
the guy's
yeah.
hobbled, they got shut out, and the reality is a great defensive coordinator like Renz is able to zero in on a player like that and say, we're taking you away, you're hurt, you're done. That's what
Yep,
happened.
for sure. So
Can I say I'm a big fan of Ridgeview's LSU-inspired helmets? Those are nice.
Yeah,
they
I like
are
their
new.
uniforms a
Yeah,
lot.
Yeah, those
I
are
dig
new
their
helmets
uniforms.
this year.
They're good.
And you know
Yeah,
what?
Fresh.
Yeah.
Hats off to BHS. They honored Greg Napoleon, former Driller assistant coach, former Independence assistant coach, former North High assistant coach. Napoleon lost his life over the summer, had a heart attack, passed away, and has a strong effect across the Bakersfield community. And the Drillers put a helmet decal on to honor his life. And even North High, Coach Norm Brown tonight talked about how, they did the same thing, not as prominent, but they all wore, RIP Coach Knapp on their hats throughout the season. So, it's we talk about doing different things. Greg Napoleon was one of the good guys, and,
Yep.
He's being remembered rightfully so. Let's move on now. Another game that was out of the area. BCHS went out to Faith Lutheran. This game came up. BCHS was looking for a game. Vernon Fox is the head coach out at Faith Lutheran in Las Vegas, former teammate of David Carr's, who's the offensive coordinator for BCHS. So the Eagles went out. They were down big, right, Teddy? Once you
Yeah, they fell behind 21-0 early, and that was basically
like in a
it.
blank, right?
In a blank, yeah. And they got some, they got some scores late. To get on the board. I want to say they're down 42-7 at one point, too, although I could be mistaken there. They got some late touchdowns, though, to make the score look respectable.
Yeah.
But, this isn't the last game that BCHS
No.
is going to have that's against a very formidable. They've got Oaks Christian coming into
I think
town in
St.
September.
Joe's next week.
They have St. Joe's, but that Oaks Christian team, Kavion
game's
Thibodeau.
on TV.
Yeah, it's going to be on ESPN
Yeah.
Network.
They have
That's a
tough
big one.
schedule, yeah.
Yeah, they do. Speaking of St. Joe's, Teddy, let's move to the next slide, Diana. And Teddy,
This was unbelievable.
woo, doggy. And thank you very much to Joe Bailey from Santa Maria Times for hooking us
Absolutely.
up.
Huge thank you to him. And the Garces football Twitter account was great during this, too.
Yeah, they were. They're on top of it.
They were on top of it with video.
Yeah.
They got Anyway, St. Joe's was up 24-10, early fourth quarter. Garces responds, 2 touchdowns. Joe Campbell with a touchdown throw. They got another one from Nick Tobias.
Yes.
Tied the score 24-24. Then St. Joe's gambles, throws the football deep in their own territory. Nick Sill interception. Garces takes over at the St. Joe's 20, punches it in. 47 seconds left. Looks like the game's over. And the next thing we know, Twitter refreshes, and St. Joe's literally scores a touchdown on the last play of the game. They got the ball back with about 45 seconds remaining, it seems. Drove the length of the field, got a last-second touchdown pass, kicked the extra point. Obviously, an absolute heartbreaker for Garces. They're 0-3 now. Looked like they were going to get off the schneid. I don't really know what else to say besides that. It goes without being said. A team scores on the last play of the game after you make a valiant fourth-quarter comeback. It sucks.
And the non-league schedule is brutal for Garces once again.
Yes, it
They're
is,
0-3, and once again, they've got a Saturday night game at home next week against San Joaquin Memorial, who rolled again tonight, and they're undefeated at 3-0. So the season does not get any easier for Garces, but Garces show they had that win against BHS to kind of get the things rolling in the SWL last year, and they went into the D2 semifinals. But this is tough. That's a really tough way to lose a game.
Yeah. They thought they were 1-2 for a second.
Yeah, incredible. Another team that went out of town, Centennial, defeated Golden Valley for the second week in a row. Just happens to be Golden Valley out of Merced. 38-15. It was 38-0 at one point for the Golden Hawks, who are now 3-0.
Yeah, they're winning the games they should be winning.
They are winning the games that they should be winning, and this is a school that needs a 500 or better record to get into the playoffs. It's school mandated, and so here are the Golden Hawks, 3-0.
2 wins away.
Yep, and they're rolling, and when you win and win and win, guess what you get? You get a bunch of kids with confidence.
They roll in this game.
So the Centennial still undefeated and likely moving in the top 25. Moving on.
That's called a tease?
Yeah, this is the game that I was at tonight. Shafter, big win over North after North took a 14-0 lead. Shafter scored 42 unanswered to move to 3-0. And when you look at this game, they are by far the favorites in the next 5 weeks with Kennedy, a team that we'll get to in just a second, also undefeated. And Shafter really kind of got over the hump the last 2 weeks, beating.
I need to know what your reaction was, or I finished your train of thought, but early in the game when North was up 14-0.
You kind of had to know that Aguilar and that offense was going to get things going. And,
Yeah.
It spun Shafter's way right, and I think that things got a little discombobulated for North there at a point. I think it was like 17 penalties for over 200 yards against North. So,
Wow.
you can't give.
They have not been
Shafter.
disciplined.
No, that you can't give Shafter that much. And they even had like a 37-yard touchdown or a pass in the first quarter when it was like 1st and 38, and then they scored on a 3-yard run. Let's go to the highlights real quick. We start off here in the first quarter. Here's that 3-yard run for Cole Fields, and it is an early 7-0 lead for North. And, Alex Aguilar was 2 of 10 to start off with just 8 yards and an interception in the first quarter and a half, while North was doing exactly what they needed to do. Here, Michael Doughton, the East High transfer, he keeps it, scores on a 3-yard touchdown run, and it's 14-0 North early on, and you're looking at it, you're like, wow, we're in the second quarter, and Shafter has literally done nothing to get the ball rolling in this one. So we've got 3:59 left here in the first quarter, or first half. The Aguilar had already thrown a touchdown pass, had ran a 32-yard touchdown run in, and then this time he gets a short pass off to Jackson Sanchez, 39 yards, and it's quickly 14-14. And then on another play here on a 3-yard drive, first 2 scoring drives for Shafter in the first half were 2-play drives. This one, 3 plays, 66 yards. Aguilar to the house, and so they go into halftime with a 21-14 lead as they score the final 3 drives as North had to punt 3 and out. Shafter scored 2-play drives. And then here we are in the third quarter. Aguilar drops back, finds Isaac Enriquez on a 10-yard touchdown pass, so they score on the first play of the third quarter. So it's quickly a 28-0 run in like 4.5 minutes of play. While North can't get anything going, Shafter just kept on going, and then finally here, Aguilar drops back. His second touchdown pass, great catch there by Jackson Sanchez, 36-yard touchdown pass. And Alex Aguilar, I don't know what else we could talk about with him. Throws for 206 yards tonight, runs for another 165. He is responsible for all 6 touchdowns for Shafter. Throwing 3, running 2. He also had a 13-yard touchdown run late in the fourth quarter. And Shafter is a team that really is on a collision course to play Kennedy on October 19th. And the winner of that one might go 10-0 and win the SSL and be the favorite in D5. And so circle that October 19th game for the SSL.
Because Kennedy absolutely destroyed Highland.
Yeah, so we'll get to that game in just a second here. But there's Shafter now 3-0, and a team that only has 26 players on roster. A lot of the guys, including Aguilar, play both ways. Aguilar played cornerback all night. Actually went down with an injury, and then the next drive he comes back, and he went down when they were still down 14-0. And then he comes back and he scores on a 2-play drive.
Yeah, the only thing left for him is to throw a touchdown pass to himself.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
I got it.
That's what I want to see.
I've seen it happen before, so that would be great.
Yeah, it would be great.
But here's, on the flip side of this, here's a North team that's now 0-3, and, that team, as many penalties as commit, you hope that they can kind of rebound and come back. And Josh, you're a North High guy. It worries you, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, first of all, looking at that highlight reel, North, bring the red back, please. Those dark grays aren't working.
Well, and you can't see the jersey.
You can't
No,
see-
but I'll be
yeah,
honest with
you
your
can't see the
jersey
numbers.
critique is spot on tonight. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the video. I don't know who's who, but
No,
anyway.
you don't. And I've got the camera and I'm zooming in.
Yeah.
I still can't tell. Whatever.
But anyway, I mean, this North team, they're notorious, and Norm Brown told this to me, early the preseason, they're notorious for having bad starts. They had a slow start last year. This year, I mean, 0-3, but slow starts against the Centennials, slow start against Monterey, and now here they are with a big start, about 14-0, and one step forward, two steps back, and now they're falling apart. So it's like this North team, they need to find themselves before they get into
First
SCYL.
offensive play of the game, and Michael Doughton drops back, and James Johnson is wide open, and he just overthrows him. And it would have been an 80-yard touchdown pass to start the game. And things like that change the trajectory of a game. And by Mike Griffith, and it didn't go their way, and everything just kind of fell apart there at the end. And
but I mean, this is the team that had 5 fumbles in the first 5 possessions with Monterey. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and they got in a fight during the game.
Yeah,
You're
they got
not
in a-
going to
yeah.
beat Shaft. They're not better than Shaft. You're going to commit 17 penalties and blow a 14-0 lead.
Yeah, but it's
goes
like
without being
for the
said.
first quarter and a half, they looked like they cleaned their act up and figured it out, but obviously they didn't. It's something they need to
and
figure out.
Shafter is a very, very good football
Of course
team,
they
so.
are, but
And the point is, though, you got to play clean football to beat
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
If you're North.
Here's one. Stockdale. They got to win.
sure
They
did.
rolled in this
They
game.
rolled the Tascadero, and this is a game that we talked about yesterday where we said it was a coin flip, and it was not a coin flip.
No.
Stockdale finally gets a win this season, a big 46-20 win over Tascadero on the road out in the Central Coast. So a big shot in the arm there for the Mustangs getting that first big win of the season, because the SWL is going to be tough this year, and so you got to get wins when you can find them, and they found it here. So Mustangs roll 46-20 over Tascadero. And here's a game. Whoo boy, Kennedy, 41-19 win over Highland. Just incredible. You were kind of watching this one from. We had Peter Castillo out at the game.
They
Tyreek Walker, man,
Yeah.
27 carries, 185 yards. He had. He also had a 76-yard touchdown pass from their quarterback, David Estrada, and Estrada scored on a 5-yard run. Walker with a 4-yard run. Another 91-yard touchdown run for Tyreek Walker, and there you go. Nick Salas with a 97-yard kickoff return for Highland, but they were already down 27-0 at that point. And then A.J. Cleveland, who's turned out to be a really good sophomore quarterback for Highland, finds Salas on a 50-yard touchdown pass, but he was already out of hand by that point.
Yeah.
So Walker, 185 yards rushing. Sandoval, a guy who was averaging 28 yards a clip in the first 2 games, only got the ball 5 times, 37 yards. But, when you got a guy like Tyreek Walker, I mean, they're running that triple wing option,
Yeah.
and they're running it very well.
I mean, Kennedy obviously held their own offensively, but the big takeaway for me here, which I think won them the game, held Highland to 18 yards.
18 total yards.
Well, and Bennett called this game.
18 yards rushing. But
Bennett
yeah.
called this game a week ago after we wrapped up our night show last week. He said Kennedy would beat Highland. Although, Trevor,
you did look right at me over
you
our
looked
text.
Trevor right in the eye. Steel eyes on Bennett on that one. But Trevor, I do want to know what you think about Highland, because look, a bunch of us picked Kennedy to win the game. I was back and forth a little bit on it, but they didn't just win. I mean, they rolled.
Yeah, and you saw that Highland hung with Shafter last week, and Shafter ended up pulling away late in that one. But, you thought that maybe Highland was going to be able to hang with Kennedy a little bit more. I think what you're seeing is Kennedy's a really good football team again. And remember, this is a team that's 2 years removed from winning consecutive D6 section title games. And, now they're under first-year head coach Mario Milan, and they're really going to – I talked to Gerald Perucci about it. He's like, they tried to throw the ball a little too much at the beginning of the season last year and try to go away from who they are. And then at the end of the year, they went on a little run because they went back to the triple option, and that's exactly what they're doing here. I mean, that's a – yeah.
Well,
That's the fastest game on turf, because they do have turf up there.
Yeah, they definitely did what they had to do tonight, that's for sure.
So South, victorious tonight, 40-6 over Golden Valley. You got to kind of figure that this was going to happen. South has scored 100 points in the last 2 games, and they've now scored 149 points in their 3 games, including that 53-49 loss to Independence. So South now 2-1.
Back-to-back games only giving up 6.
Yeah, and Golden Valley, a team that just
Hey, they scored.
Yeah, they scored. It's progress.
They scored. Okay, so that's progress.
Although
Well, they scored 8 last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's better than being shut out.
Well, I mean, I agree. I'm just saying,
And
it's like that they did score 8 last week. They scored 6.
It's a challenge every week.
I'm glad
to
that we're
score.
going over this.
Yeah.
Well, and here you go. You know, South had defeated Delano 60-6 last week, and then Delano comes back and defeats East 20-14.
yeah,
So
East was up the entire game.
yeah, let's move that slide there over. Thank you, Diana. So you look at Delano, you know, a team that, you know, had a long week because they played on Thursday night last week, and they come back and they go on the road to East and they beat the Blades. And so, you know, Delano, after beating Chavez in week 1, 22-26, gets blown out at home last week, regroups and defeats the Blades. Blades now 1-2, and Delano now 2-1, and so that's a big shot in the arm, especially because, you know, you've got Tulare Union, Tulare Western coming up in the East Yosemite League playoffs. So Delano doing exactly what they need to do, going on the road and winning.
Yeah, I mean, with last year, with how the SEYL was and that race, and now this year, it looks like South could backtrack or moonwalk into a title. This year.
Yeah, and you know,
It's just
it's
so
it's funny
down.
that we were talking. You know, you saying that, I was thinking about it in the first, you know, quarter and a half at North, going, North might be right in there with South, and no, maybe not. I mean, maybe it's South's to win. I mean, they went like 12-0 between 2014 and 2016 in league play, and then, you know, it was a 3-way tie at 3-1 between North, Highland, and South. And why did you yawn, dude?
I didn't yawn.
It's 11:40.
Yeah, whatever.
I didn't yawn.
And now, yeah, exactly. I mean, look at it. Foothill and Miramonte both winless. East
1-2, North 0-3, Highland 1-2. Like, who's gonna touch South?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Has South kind of, you know, written the script for the SEYL? We'll see.
Yeah.
Moving on. Well, shows you what I know.
Yeah.
Tehachapi, after starting the season 0-2, including a heartbreaking loss at home to Wasco in week 1 during the Mountain Festival, loses at BHS badly last week and comes out and rolls Taft, a team that had just ran roughshod the first 2 weeks. But this was the toughest test of the season so far for the Wildcats, and Tehachapi dug to gear, get the first win
Told
of the
you
season.
not to pick against Tehachapi at home.
Thanks.
Even though you could have the first week.
Honestly, I know we'll get to it, but that loss against Wasco isn't looking that bad anymore.
Yeah, we'll show you why in here in just a second. So Tehachapi 1-2, Taft falls to 2-1.
I took Tehachapi.
Yep. Moving on, Foothill, another team having a tough run, much like Golden Valley. They lose tonight, 42-7 to West. West, very good offensive team. LJ Lalau,
he had a
really
couple touchdowns.
big, strong. How many touchdowns did he have tonight?
At least
A lot.
3, At least I've seen at least 2 or 3.
But see, this is progress because Foothill really scored their first touchdown of the year this year.
They did.
Yeah, first time they're on the points tonight,
glad
or
they
on the
scored.
board this season. So West now 2-1. Foothill falls to 0-3.
And looking at West, how much worse is that Mission Oak loss now?
Yeah, exactly.
They should be 3-0.
Yeah, especially since Mission Oak lost to Memorial tonight, 49-6.
Yep.
That's what Garces gets next week. Moving on, we were talking about Wasco just a second ago, and ooh, doggy. Yeah, maybe the Tigers figured something else.
Yeah.
They figured something out
They
this
were
year.
just running up the score in this game.
Yeah, I think they scored in their first 9 or 10 possessions.
Midway through first, second quarter, 47-7.
Well,
Yeah.
it definitely
Yeah.
wasn't 10 possessions unless they were kicking field goals.
Okay, well,
I
There's the
knew
math
what you were
wizard.
saying.
Trevor Horn, math
Ben.
wizard.
Yeah, I knew what you were saying, Ben.
All right, so 64-23 win over Madera.
but yeah, like Teddy said, it was 47-7 early second quarter. Like, it was nuts.
So they definitely corralled the Stallions.
Okay, you can have that one.
I'm yawning again.
So the Tigers now 2-0 after a bye week last week. So
Of course, that's the thing, too. The early bye week, is that going to affect them later on the season?
yeah, because they got to run through what's turning out to be a very top-heavy SSL with DCHS out of it. You know, Shafter's playing well. You know, can't really tell what that Tehachapi loss means to Taft, but you know, Kennedy's playing really well, and
we'll get to
Wasco's
Arvin.
still undefeated, and Arvin, we'll get to them in just a second. The one team that's not playing well in the SSL this year is Chavez. They are now 0-3 and have lost 13 consecutive games, losing tonight to Liberty Madera Ranchos 49-8. So Chavez.
Yeah,
You know, ever since that graduating class a couple years ago, really haven't been able to get anything going. They went 0-9 last year, lost in the playoffs in the 2016 season, and now 0-3 this year. So a 13-game losing streak for Chavez, longest losing streak in the Central Section.
Tough non-league schedule's not going to do him any favors either.
It's not. So the Hawks moved to 3-0, while the Titans moved to 0-3. McFarland now 3-0 for the second year in a row, and they're definitely winning the games they're supposed to be winning.
They are, and here's a fun fact here. No offense scored a touchdown in this game. All 3 touchdowns, defensive touchdowns for the Cougars.
Defense wins championship.
J-Ben, fun fact.
Yeah.
Jay Bunn, fun fact. And, McFarland's going to get a really good quarterback here in week 5 coming up. So the things may change offensively for McFarland as well. So we talk about the SSL. Here's another undefeated team. Now, McFarland, I really can't tell because, they're beating Avenel and they're beating Tranquility and they're beating Coalinga. They're not beating formidable opponents. So I don't know how good the 0-3 is.
Of
the
course,
3-0 is. But they're still 3-0.
Yeah.
So there you go. So the Cougars and
If
Casey
anything,
Quinn,
will get them in the playoffs.
Yep. So they're 3-0 moving on. And we talk about Arvin. Arvin, a very sneaky good team. They were down big to Rosamond in this one, were they not?
No, they were up for a while, and then third, fourth quarter kind of exploded in points.
Jeez,
So
Arvin.
they're the ultimate. This team is just gut check.
Like, it was like 28-18 Arvin sometime in the third, and then they just decided to stop playing defense, apparently.
Is there a coach that has more on his plate on a day-to-day basis than Edgar Maris and what he has to do just to get a football team together every day at Arvin when he's got guys that aren't able to show up to practice at the beginning of the fall camp because they're working and they got to help support their family, and then he's able to get this team out on a field and playing football every week. So congratulations.
Not only that, but beat a team that was in a section title game.
Yeah, exactly.
They've gone to a great start this year.
Yeah,
great
so
start.
42-39 win over Rosamond, and Arvin is now 2-1.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they've matched their win total from like the
last 2
years. Yeah,
because they went 0-10 in
2016.
1-8, 2-7 last year.
Yeah,
exactly.
they're.
Yep. This man right here yesterday said that if it came down to names of schools, Rim of the World would win every game. Am I right?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
I did.
Yes.
Okay.
I picked Bourne.
Was that a dramatic pause? Or
I was waiting for the slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I thought
Rim
the
of the
slide
World,
was
which
gonna
is in
come
Lake
up.
Arrowhead, and it is one of the coolest looking high school stadiums in the United States because it overlooks the San
If you haven't
Bernardino
heard
Valley.
Trevor talk about this already or write
It was
about
really cool, man. I don't care. Rim of the World, victorious over Boron, 50-8 tonight. So ROT Dub gets the first win of the season and on the field, and they beat the Bobcats 50-8. Bobcats now 1-2. Moving on. Kern Valley, big loss on the road against Mission Prep at San Luis Obispo. The Bronx now 1-2, while Mission Prep moves to 2-0. Knight out of Palmdale defeated Burroughs 28-6.
Hey, Burrows got on the board.
Burroughs did finally get a
Progress.
touchdown or two field goals. Was it a touchdown?
I don't know.
Okay.
They scored.
But they scored for the first time this
Points are
season.
points.
But
Yeah.
they're still 0-3 while Knight moves to 1-1. 8-man football. Fraser Mountain victorious.
This was a great game.
Yeah, it was.
Great. We had Matt Alvarez,
Yeah.
the kicking coach of BC.
What was going
tweeting
on
the
there?
heck out of that.
Why was he at that game?
Because he's a cop up in Fraser Park, so he probably just took his dinner break and watched that game.
Well, he didn't go back to work because he was there the whole game.
Okay. Well, or he got off shift and went and watched his game.
Either way, but hey, first of all, congrats to Fraser Mountain. They don't have to go through another 70-plus game losing streak for another win.
They fell behind 18-14 at one point.
Yeah.
The away team had only 8 players
Yeah,
at the game.
they had 8 players dressed total, just playing the entire game.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Falcons pulled it out. It's good for them.
Yep. Villanova Prep out of Riverside?
Yes.
Yeah. Defeated Desert tonight, 61-0.
Ojai.
Ojai.
Oh, hi.
Cool little town. Defeated Desert 61-0. And on Thursday, Cal City was victorious over Riverside Prep, which is not in Riverside.
No, apparently not.
35-0. Okay, so there's your scoreboard for tonight. Teddy, your takeaways.
My big takeaway was, well, I took Frontier and they lost. That was disappointing. And I know it was the Garces game, and I thought they were going to be 1-2 for like a minute, and then they lost.
Thank you.
Yep, that was my big takeaway.
John Mettus, your biggest takeaway from tonight.
Liberty's good. Liberty's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
That's all I got.
Oh, wonderful. Mr. Bennett.
I'll speak a little longer than these two. With league play coming up very shortly, I cannot wait to see how the SSL pans out.
So much fun.
And
And you're stealing my thunder.
I mean, beginning of the year, we all looked at the SSL like, oh, Shafter's running away with this. It's not going to be close, Looking at all the other leagues, honestly, I could care less about the other leagues right now. The SSL is where it's at right now.
The SSL, well, yeah, I mean,
If you want competition and you don't want, BHS Liberty's winning the SWYL, South's winning the SEYL, Ridgeview's probably winning the SYL. We really don't know who's winning the SSL. We could say Shafter, we could say Kennedy. Are they? We don't know. There's a lot of good teams there.
How good is Wasco?
Yeah, how good is Wasco? There's a lot of good teams.
Yeah, and I would disagree with you on the SYL. I still think that Independence is playing pretty darn well, and we don't know what we're going to get out of Ridgeview week in and week out. And BCHS, they've had a tough schedule thus far, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, that CVC loss was kind of a little topsy turvy, but I think there. But yes, I do agree with you that the SSL is going to be a lot of fun. That October 19th game in Shafter against Kennedy is a monster game because you got to think both teams are probably going to be 8-0 at that point. And
I don't know if I can say that with confidence anymore, honestly. I thought I could 2 weeks ago. Now I don't know.
Yeah. Is Wasco good enough to beat Shafter? I don't know. I mean, we got a lot of football to play between that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think my biggest takeaway is, Liberty and BHS both showed that opening week losses on the road to Southern California powers like Servite and Mission Viejo mean nothing.
No.
Because you look at what the Drillers have been able to do in the last 2 weeks. You look at what Liberty has been able to do, and I think that's even more impressive because they've done it against Ridgeview and Clovis West, two perennial powers in the Central Section. And now they've got a home game against Buchanan, a team that really kind of destroyed them last year on the road. Buchanan defeated Edison 42-6. And you look at the defense against the offense, and Liberty's offense is not that bad either when you got Sammy Stewart running the ball. And that offensive line is very, very good and very strong for Liberty.
That's a massive game for D1 seedings as well.
Oh, yeah, because that's
there probably going to decide if they play at home in the semis or not, depending on how other things go, of course. But,
I mean, because you don't know the trajectory. You don't know if Buchanan might beat Central, BHS, Liberty. You don't know who's going to win between those two games. So you really don't know who the top four, but you don't know who's going to be 1 through 4 in the playoffs, but you kind of get an idea now who the top 4 teams in the Division I in the Central Section are right now.
Yeah, at this point, it's who wins and who gets home field out of it.
So a lot of fun tonight. I think Week 3 kind of panned out to be quite exciting as much as we thought it was. There were a lot of teams that were out of town, and those games that were in town, it turned out to be blowouts, really, when you think about it across the board. But, we're starting to really kind of see who the top teams are in town. So looking forward to it. We only got 2 more weeks left in non-league before league play starts. Yep. Everything gets started early, so we got league games in September now.
Yeah, welcome to September football.
We're 8 minutes away from September 1st, and like I said, we're 3 weeks into the high school football season. One thing of note before I forget, Jordan Love, that dude played a heck of a football game tonight for Utah State. Threw for almost 300 yards and darn near beat number 11 Michigan State on the road. It was a 38-31 Michigan State lead, and so a Liberty graduate, Jordan Love. Hats off to him, and I think that a lot of people in the nation are really kind of looking at him. Tomorrow, big day in college football. I think the big one, you look at Chris Barnes starting a middle linebacker for UCLA. And before we go, John, your thoughts on BC tomorrow opening up against Mount Sac before we head out.
I mean, Mount Sac is always a good team in the JUCO ranks in California. BC, we'll see. They've got some offensive weapons, but is the offensive line there? Is the quarterback situation there? I think it'll be a tough one for them for the first game.
They got playmakers.
Yep. Yeah, they do.
But you got to make holes, and you got to give them time to make plays.
Yeah.
So
someone's got to give them the ball.
Yep.
It can't be 11-on-1.
No, it cannot. So, guys, appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. For Diana Rodriguez, all the guys back in the desk, Ron Stapp, Pete Menting, Christine Peterson, for Teddy Feinberg, for Jon Mettus, for Josh Bennett. I am Trevor Horn. This is BVarsity Live Game Night for Week 3. You guys have a great and very safe Labor Day weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.